A very good morning, dear students. I welcome you all to today's SST class, and today we are going to discuss about our chapter 5, judiciary, and we already have started the chapter. We discussed a few points related to the chapter where yesterday's class, in live class, we discussed about what is the role of judiciary. So judiciary basically includes all the courts of a country or of any other country, and in case of India, the judiciary, the role of judiciary we have discussed about. So the role of judiciary, it is basically divided into three roles. One is dispute resolution, which includes the resolution of dispute between the citizens, when citizen and government, and between two state governments, and also between the state government and the central government. The next one is the review. So judiciary review. So in case of judiciary review, we have the first that as the final interpreter is the constitution. So the judiciary has full right to strike down any particular law which is being passed by the parliament if judiciary believes that that is against the basic structure of the constitution. So that is known as judicial review. Means they can review the decisions which are or law which are being passed by parliament, and if they believe that it is the violation of or we can say it is against a normal basic structure of the constitution, then they can refuse to it, or they can strike down that particular law. Then we have also discussed about the next one, that is upholding law and enforcing fundamental rights. Means every citizen of India can approach the Supreme Court or the High Court if they believe that their fundamental rights are violated. Okay, we discussed the the example also. Then we have also discussed about the what is independent judiciary. So independent judiciary means there are three organs of the government, that is legislature, executive, and the number one is the judiciary. So judiciary in the matter, the other two organs, that is legislature and executive, they cannot interfere in the work of judiciary. Judiciary is a complete different or individual organ which includes the courts, and the courts are not under legislature or executive or any government which is the ruling party. It's not under anybody. They do not act on the behalf of anyone, maybe it's executive, legislature, or the central government or the state government, nobody. So judiciary is a complete individual body. Okay, so that's what we have discussed, and today we shall be discussing about what is the structure of court in India. So the structure of the court in India, if you consider, there are three different levels of court in India. One is the district court, second one is the high court, and the third one is the Supreme Court. So let us see now what are the characteristics of all the courts. First one is the district court. The courts that most people interact with are called subordinate or district courts or tehsil level court. So it is the matter which have been taken to the court, to the local court or to the district court by the people immediately. So this is the first level of court, lower level of court, which is found at the district level or the tehsil level. Then we have the high court. So each state has a high court. Every state have a high court, and which is the highest court of the states. There are district courts at different district level, but high court is only one in a particular district. Okay, so in case of Assam, if you see, we have the high court here in Guwahati, Dispur, in Guwahati. So every state has a high court, which is the highest court in the state. Okay, then come to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is at the top level, so it is a top level court. The decisions made by the Supreme Court are binding all other courts in India. even if the verdict has been given by suppose a district court, but if the people think that it is not valid, they can approach to high court. And even high court also, if they also have given the verdict which is not acceptable by the people whoever have filed the case, so they can again approach to the Supreme Court, and decision of the Supreme Court is the ultimate. It binds all. If decision is for those people who have filed the case, it is for the people, for that people. And initially in high court and district court, if it was against their support, then they can approach to Supreme Court. But if Supreme Court have given it is on for them that particular verdict, then what will happen, that will be considered as the supreme decision. Okay, so that's why it is said that Supreme Court binds all other courts in India. The decision which is made by the Supreme Court, that are the final one, and it is the binding all other courts in India. So it is located in New Delhi. In case of our India, we have the Supreme Court in New Delhi. All right. So these are the three levels of court. District court at different district level, then high court, per state one high court is there, and Supreme Court we have one, that is in Delhi for the as a whole for the country. Then what is the structure of the court in India? On that topic only we are about to discuss a few more, taking one example from your previous class, that is class 7 part, which you have already discussed. So let us just see. In India we have an integrated judicial system. Before that, little bit of discussion about the integration of all the judicial system. So in India we have an integrated judicial system, which means that the decisions made by the higher courts are binding all the lower courts. So it is at different level. Lower courts includes the district courts. So the decisions which is being made by the high court, that binds the or that puts down the lower court's decision. And the same, the appellate system exists in India, which means that a person can appeal. Appellate system means what? Appellate system means when each and every person can appeal to higher court if they believe that the judgments passed by the lower court is not just. As I told you just now, if the people believe that whatever the decisions made by the lower court, that is in the district court, is not it is not justified to them, then any people can approach to high court, and that is known as appellate system. That each and every person can appeal to higher court if they believe that the verdict or the judgment passed by the lower court is not just. And just here means justice. It is not it is not supporting the justice. Okay, so that is the meaning of just here. Then here you can see the example. So let us understand what we mean by appellate system by tracking a case, State versus Laxman Kumar and others. So let's see. From the lower court to the Supreme Court in February, it is actually starting from lower court to the Supreme Court. When the verdict was not it is not, they believe that it is not just, they approach to high court. And even the high court decision also, which they thought that it is not just, they approached to the Supreme Court, and the ultimate decision was made by the Supreme Court. So we will just take an example here. So in February 1980, Laxman Kumar married 20-year-old Sudha Goel, and they lived in a flat in Delhi with Laxman's brother and their families, mother-in-law and other family members. On December 2, so she got married in the February 1980, and in the same year, December 2, Sudha died in hospital. After a few months, she died in hospital due to burning. She died. So her family filed a case in court. Sudha's family filed a case in the local court first. When this case was heard in the trial court, means the lower court, that is in the district court, 4 of her neighbors were called in as witness. So when this court was it has its hearing, in that day 4 of her neighbors of her in-laws, neighbor who stays near her in-laws house, were being called as witness. They stated that on the night of December 1st, 2nd December she died, and on the December 1st they had heard Sudha screaming they heard the scream of Sudha and had forced their way into Lakshman's flat. There they saw Sudha standing with her sari in flames. So when they run to the Lakshman's house, they saw that Sudha is burning with the fire. Then they extinguished the fire by wrapping Sudha in a gunny bag and blanket. They tried to escape her from the fire, so they wrapped her with a gunny bag and a blanket. Sudha told them that her mother-in-law Shakuntala had poured kerosene oil on her and that her husband Lakshman had lighted the fire. So she told at that moment when she was alive that to the neighbors that her mother-in-law she poured kerosene on her and then her husband he has burned her. Then during the trial members of Sudha's family and a neighbor stated that Sudha had been subjected to torture by in-laws and that were demanding more cash. It is because of dowry system. They her family members, Sudha's family member as well as the neighbors, they told that to the lower court, that is to the trial court, they said that Sudha was evenly very frequently she was being tortured because of as her in-laws were demanding from her family cash, a scooter and a fridge on the birth of her birth of the first child. Okay, so she was being demanded for all those. Then as part of their defense, Lakshman and his mother stated that Sudha's sari had accidentally caught fire while she was heating milk, but her mother-in-law and husband said that no, it was accidentally she has been caught by the fire when she was boiling boiling milk. On the basis of this and the other evidences, the trial court convicted Lakshman, his mother Shakuntala and his brother-in-law Subhash Chandra and sentenced all three of them to the death. So in that after hearing of everything, all the witnesses and all the matters, the lower court that they convicted Lakshman, his mother Shakuntala and also brother-in-law Subhash Chandra and sentenced them to death. But in November 1983, the three accused went to High Court, but they through their the advocate, through their lawyer, they as because they were not accepting the lower court decision, so they went to the High Court. They appealed the court in High Court. Okay, and this accused and against the verdict of the trial court. Okay, so they have they appealed. They accused these three accused, they went to the High Court to appeal against the verdict which has been given by the lower court. The High Court, after hearing the arguments all of the lawyers, decided that Sudha had died due to the accidental fire. It was not her brother husband or mother-in-law they forcefully have made her to die. Rather, it was an accident where she was caught by the fire, and the High Court, they have the Lakshman and Subhash Chandra were they were acquitted. Means they were considered as not guilty. Then you may remember the photo essay on the women's movement in your class 7 book. You read about how in the 1980s women group across the country spoke out against dowry deeds. So you might have seen that one in your class 7 book. They protested against the failure of the courts to bring their cases to justice. The above High Court judgment deeply troubled women, and they held demonstration and filed a separate appeal against the High Court decision in the Supreme Court. So women, they have seen that it is against the dowry and that people, they have been considered as not guilty even if they have done it with Sudha. So this woman, they approached to the Supreme Court, and then against the verdict of the High Court, they went to the Supreme Court through Indian Federation of Women Lawyers. They went it through Indian Federation of Women Lawyers. They appealed to the Supreme Court, and in 1985 the Supreme Court heard this appeal against the acquittal of Lakshman and two members of his family. The Supreme Court heard the arguments of lawyers and reached a decision that which was different from both the like courts that has given the verdict. Like first one has given sentence to death, second one has made them acquitted, and now the third, that is the Supreme Court, that is the top court, their decision was quite different, and they said that Subhash, they found Lakshman and his mother guilty but acquitted the brother-in-law. So brother-in-law was considered to be not guilty, and mother and Subhas, they were considered as guilty, and the Supreme Court decided to send them to accuse, and the accused, these two people, to prison for life. So they got life imprisonment after the Supreme Court decision, as per the Supreme Court decision. Okay, so they were not sentenced to death, but they have been given the lifetime imprisonment. Okay, so that is all about what we discussed in about the how the verdict of lower court, if it is not if they believe that it is not just, they can go to high court, and even high court verdict also, if it is believed that it is not just, then people can approach to through various organizations, as like they have done with the Indian Federation of Women Lawyers. So it can be appealed to the Supreme Court, and the decision of the Supreme Court binds all other courts decisions. So that is all about the today's topic. So where we have discussed about that the three levels of the court, or we can say in India, basically it is the lower court, which includes the district court, then we have the high court, which has been in one in the state, then Supreme Court, which is in Delhi, and it is the top level court. Okay, and we have seen how the matters can be taken to from one level to the other level if the verdict of lower courts, that is in first in the district level, second in the high court level, if it is not considered to be just, it can be appealed to the Supreme Court as well. Okay, so thank you so much, students, and I request you to note down the points in your copies. Okay, thank you so much.